Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to BS session number 82. I have nothing witty to say, so let's play an intro and then start talking after the intro has been played.
This right here has the ability with a 30 caliber clip to disperse with 30 bullets within half a second.
Just when I think you couldn't possibly be any dumber.
You're listening to your weekly dose of BS, Ballistically Speaking. The Ballistically Speaking Podcast.
We are live. Sorry.
Listen to that microphone. Hey,
I had to get that out of the way. Yeah.
Get it out of your system now.
Get it out of my system now is right.
Well, I think you should do it every episode.
Mm-hmm.
It should be your new thing.
Mm-hmm. What about Good Morning Vietnam?
Nope.
Or has that already been done before?
Yeah, that seems like a rehash.
Yeah. Okay, I tried.
Yeah. Doug Runbush, and they're back. Yeah, man. So we should probably mention, it's been a few weeks. We have had one hell of a time bringing one of our guests on, and unfortunately for the last 2 weeks, there's been a bit of a last-minute cancellation, and we ended up without a show. And something very similar kind of happened today, but we're doing a show anyway. And so, what the hell? Here we are. And we're changing the topic on the fly, which is why the episode went up late and why a lot of you are noticing the live notification, but not get any notification that we were going to go live. And here we are. And to make things worse, Kurt is not joining us tonight. He has a case of hemorrhoids that he's trying to deal with, and he's having difficulty sitting down. So best of luck with the suppositories, Kurt, and don't get addicted to them, I guess. Yeah.
They say try it once, you're hooked for life.
Who says that?
I don't know. Probably somebody has.
I'm sure somebody has. You're probably right. I'm not sure how much stock we should put in what they say, considering that's what they've said.
You know, law of averages.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, before we're going to talk about NRL Hunter, which you guys were at, and maybe talk about a number of other things. But before we do, let's pay some bills. What do you guys say?
Hell yeah.
Who wants
Sure,
to go
why
first?
not?
Yeah, I like the difference in responses there. There's a hell yeah. Mike's like, okay.
Okay, we'll do it.
Who's first?
I'll start her off.
All right.
So, one of our great sponsors tonight is EM Precision Rifles in Leduc, Alberta, building Canada's finest precision rifles. Find Shane and Steve on Facebook, Instagram, and on their website at emprifles.ca.
We're also brought to you by Bolt Action Coffee, bringing specialty coffee to the precision shooting world. Order coffee and merchandise at boltactioncoffee.com.
And call sign 66, Canada's best rifle training. Welcome to the Brotherhood. Book a course now at callsign66.ca and follow them on Instagram at callsign66. And, I don't know why that looks like a period to me, but it's a comma. And on Facebook at C/S66.
And of course, we can't forget Odell Engineering. Pick up a Canuck shotgun or Bergara rifle from your local distributor and tell them Phil sent you. Look them up on Instagram, Flakebook, and on their website at odellengineeringlimited.com.
Gotta love that flake book.
Yep.
Ugh.
Apex Optics. When you buy Apex, precision comes standard. Check out all the fine competition rifle scopes, red dots, binoculars at apexoptics.co. Be sure to check out their pre-sale special for the new Apex Optics binoculars and red dots. We got the Summit 8x42s, Summit 15x56s, Summit Pro 2 15x56 binos with TR2 reticle, Summit ED 15x56 binos with extra low dispersion lenses.
Speeding up.
Sorry, I gotta wind it down.
He's gonna blow.
Adam Red Dot 1x28 with Smart Light auto brightness technology. And the Atom Red Dot 1x30 with variable dot size multi-reticle system. Check them out at apexoptics.co.
So we're working on a review of the Apex Hunter. I've been out a couple of times. I've put it on my Sig Cross, been out a few times, and Kurt has got his on. I think it's on his Ackley improved. Was it 223 Ackley improved?
Mhm.
My,
His AI
mine's
rifle
in my
anyway.
cart right now.
In your cart.
And
What's
we
yours
also
on, Derek?
Mine is on. I have an Edge. Sorry, Sorry, I was bringing up. I have a Hunter on my Bergera 6.5 PRC HMR.
Yeah, there you go.
We'll talk about that. That's what I shot with at the NRL Hunter. And
Mhm.
talking about reviews, also have the Edge in process of reviewing right now. So
Yeah.
stay tuned for that goodness.
So
So
we've been on a bit of a drought for YouTube review content, and it's going to end sometime soon because we've got some things in the fire, and Mike's got some things in the cart.
Yep.
Hey, do you know when you're supposed to be receiving your Atom?
When they show up in the country, I'm told I'm getting one of the first ones.
Oh wow, that should be exciting.
mhm.
I would like to get one, but man, I blew all my budget on so many other things. Not the least of which is my friggin' truck. Took it in for what should have been a very simple fix. $2,600 later. But my air conditioning works.
Yeah,
Oh,
AC is not cheap.
AC right now is just through the roof. It's insane.
Well, I was hoping that I would just need to fill it. It hasn't worked since I bought the truck. And I thought, it probably just needs to be recharged. No, it needed a new compressor. It needed a new condenser. It needed all the new cabling and vents and
Just
26
convert her to
later.
260 air conditioning.
Well, that's what I've had for the last couple of years, but I wanted real air conditioning finally. But anyway, also we are brought to you by Ribstone Gunsmithing, where craftsmanship is done right. Contact Oscar at ribstonegunsmithing.ca and breathe life back into any firearm.
And we're also brought to you by the Shooting Edge in Calgary, Alberta, home of the Sterling Arms R18, indoor range, training courses, and a new 6-lane axe throwing bay. Also, the One Shot, One Spill Cafe. Find them on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, X, and on their website at theshootingedge.com. And I will say, on our way back from NRL Hunter, we did stop at the Shooting Edge and eat at the cafe. We were the first ones there.
Mhm.
And man, the Derek's nachos were huge.
Yeah.
Kris, you weren't kidding about the nachos. And I just
Yeah.
got some of the waffle fries, and it's like 4 whole potatoes worth of fries.
Their
It was
cafe is
amazing.
real. They take it
Mhm.
seriously.
It's legit.
Yeah.
I very
And one
impressed.
thing I found cool is they had like the leather sofas and they had a bookcase. So if you
Yeah.
ever need to sit down and read a book and not feel like you're at Starbucks and like some hipster, you can go to the Shooting Edge and pick up a book on guns and sit in one of their nice leather couches. And it's like a gentleman's club, but not that kind of gentleman's club.
I was gonna say, who's dancing naked? Steve Arena will come out in a onesie, and you can put dollar bills into his onesie. Maybe not, but you really can sit there and enjoy a fantastic plate of nachos, smell the gunpowder, and read up on World War II history all in one place. And you can throw sharp objects.
Yeah, I think it covers pretty much all the bases.
Yeah. Yeah. It was pretty cool. Yen says, AC in a vehicle is never just fill up. If it doesn't work, it's always big money. Well, thanks, Jens. I could have used that advice before I bought the truck.
Oh, and before we wrap up, March Scopes Canada,
Yep.
the Dion optical design line of rifle scopes, has a scope for all your hunting and shooting needs. Find Doug and Niza at marchscopes.ca.
Mm-hmm.
Bills paid.
Bills paid. Moving on.
If only it was that easy.
I know, right? So you guys went to the NRL Hunter,
The first NRL Hunter in Canada.
the first NRL Hunter.
Mhm.
There's a couple of people watching right now that were at it also. Like Patton
Yes.
was there, Kerry was there. Was
Mhm.
was Doug there? I don't know.
I don't think so.
I don't believe Doug was there. No.
Wasn't there?
Yes.
Okay. I was
Yeah.
just, I know he's listening or watching, so
Mhm.
I'm just wondering.
Carly
Yeah.
and Vanya were there.
Yes.
Yeah, Carly and Vanya were there.
Yeah.
Uh,
Shane was there.
Yeah, Monster.
Yeah, and
well,
Carrie.
Shane and Carrie, obviously.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's me.
Yes.
It was kind of a who's who of if you shoot precision rifle in the West. A lot of people were there. It was a great event.
It did
Well,
feel like the big leagues in that there was a lot of big names there, and I want to say big faces, if that makes sense.
Big
So
faces.
not physically, but yeah, I
calling
recognize
him-
that face.
You
kind
call
of
him
people.
Fat.
I know you from stuff.
Yes.
Rob's got a big face.
Hmm.
He's got a big beard.
Mm.
Does that count?
He's a big person.
Yes.
Rob?
Yeah.
Rob's, he's an
Says the
average
guy
human
who's
being.
almost says the guy that's almost 7 feet tall.
Well, Rob's I'm not cutting him down, but he's an average sized human being.
I'm just short, so
How short? You're not short, Mike. How tall are you?
5'9".
Yeah, that's average-ish, isn't it?
I'm shorter.
How short are you,
So,
Derek?
I'm like 5'6" on a good day with
Really?
boots. Yeah.
My employee / business partner is 5'6",
Hmm.
but he's Filipino. I don't know what you're Ukrainian. What's your excuse?
There's two sides of the country, and depending where you geographically are, you're either tall or short.
Oh,
So,
I see.
Yes.
It's like Germany. If you come from those forest Germans in the northwest, they're all really short.
Hmm.
Is that the idea?
Yeah.
Something
Yeah,
like
I'm the from the Parthians kind of region, so the stumpier legs for getting up mountains. So,
Okay. You're the dwarves of Ukraine.
mhm,
pretty much.
yes.
Cool. All right. So tell us about NRL Hunter. Take it away.
Well,
All
to
right.
start off, we had an amazing venue. That's probably the first thing we need to point out is it was at the Three Bars Ranch in Cranbrook, and wow, what a property that is!
Saw some photos.
Yes.
It is the real deal.
Oh,
Sorry.
Mike just coughed out the lung. So yeah, it was definitely a beautiful venue, nestled in the Rocky Mountains. It's a dude ranch, so it is set up to have very nice accommodations. There is, I think, 5 or 6 log cabins there. Probably more than that. There is a on-site bar. It's all kind of log cabin style build. There's even a indoor swimming pool. Like, spare no expense. There's like a live petting zoo. They got donkeys and chickens and all kinds of stuff. So, and so very beautiful venue on the both Saturday and Sunday morning on the way in. We were stopped by herds of elk crossing the road. So very much so put the hunter in NRL Hunter, but not actually shooting the elk. So, again, thanks to Tyler and the Beckley family for putting that on, because that was a beautiful place. So we'll start it off setting the scene, if you so.
So we got that's setting the scene. We got elk. We got cabins.
Mountains.
We got mountains. I assume some grass.
Yes, there was a number of fields that we utilized with irrigation. We'll come into that a little bit later. So there were some wide open spaces, but there's also some hilly forested areas. So yeah, that was kind of the scene. And we shot as a team, right, Mike?
We did shoot as a team, and it was a fairly uneventful truck ride back. We're still on speaking terms. We're still on.
Oh, okay. Okay, that could have been interpreted either way. That it was uneventful because you weren't speaking to each other, or it was uneventful because you weren't arguing at each other.
Yes. So it was definitely that regard. So maybe I'll just go over the format of NRL Hunter for those of you that aren't aware.
Yeah,
So NRL Hunter differentiates itself from PRS in that these are blind stages. So unlike PRS, where there's a match book published, the day before or given out the morning of, where it shows the barricade, shows the targets, describes the targets, gives the distances, and you generally can watch, the 3 or 4 people shoot the stage before you and kind of get a idea of how the system's going to go. With a blind stage, it's eliminated.
Okay.
So you'll come up to a designated marker, and then you'll see a sign placard. And that placard will show the target shape for that stage, and it'll tell you the number of targets and then the order of targets. So you're only getting the information right beforehand.
So it'll show like a silhouette of a deer and then a silhouette of a squirrel, and
Yes.
so there's 2 targets, and it tells you deer first, squirrel second.
Yeah, to an extent. There wasn't any mixed targets. Here is all the same targets. So it would be like
Oh, okay.
2 bears or 2 coyotes.
How do you know the order is if it's 2 of the same thing?
They'll tell you left to right or near to far or far to near.
Okay. Oh, so you have to identify all the targets before you take your first shot.
Exactly.
It sounds like some bullshit, like know about your target and beyond, or some idiocy like that,
Not exactly. So the first target is always marked within 20 feet of a sign placard. So just in case there are other targets in field of view, say you're on stage 7, you're looking for a white 7 placard.
Okay.
And then within 20 or so feet will be your first target. However, finding your second target, there's no gimmies other than your field of view pins. So there's a triangle on the ground. So once the RL calls you up and you're good to go, you'll cross a certain point, your time will start, and there's a sighting triangle. So there's 2 outer limit pins, one to your left, one to your right, and then an observation pin at the back. So that'll give you normally 80 or 90 degree field of view in which to look for the targets.
So are the pins just like kind of a triangle in front of you and you have to extrapolate out of the distance, or
Yes.
are the pins in the distance?
Yeah, the pins are right in front of you. So it's a triangle, normally about like 6 feet by 6 feet by 6 feet kind of size, and they're wooden surveyor stakes.
Okay.
So you have
So
to
you
kind
can
of
kind of stand there and like kind of do this. And
yeah,
then,
and you can kind of put your arms out and do the
Yeah.
YMCA and that kind of thing. So
Okay. I would have done.
Yeah.
I'd do the hokey pokey, but I guess it depends on who you are.
exactly, this
Okay.
is true. So
Well, okay. So then you have to identify your targets, and then you
Yes.
engage them in the order that you're
Provided.
supposed to. Yeah.
yes, find, range, and engage. For an individual shooter, you have 4 minutes. For a team shooter, you have 6 minutes. One shooter has to shoot first, and then the second shooter will shoot the same target order. So
Oh, so you both shoot the same course one after the other.
yes, yep,
Okay.
yep.
So
You
you're a
shoot
shitty shot, and then your partner has to finish the animal off.
to an extent.
It's like I spine
Yes.
shot him. He's got no rear legs.
Mhm.
Now you got to plug him one more.
He ain't got no legs, Lieutenant Dan. So yeah.
Okay,
So
that sounds cool.
yeah.
But you have to so you have to find, and I think I already knew this, so I think we're saying
Mm-hmm.
it out loud for people who don't know, but you have to find your own ranges.
Yes. Yeah. So bring a laser rangefinder, range finding binos, and hope you can pick up the target correctly.
What are most people
So
using? Laser or
at the
reticle?
at the top end, people are using quality laser range finding binos.
Okay.
It's to be competitive and time efficient, because even just picking up your binos and then grabbing your rangefinder, looking for the target again, finding it, ranging it, that time.
You're burning 20 to 25 seconds doing that, just about.
Gotcha.
Mhm. So
the
adds
speed
up.
matters. Yeah.
Yeah, speed does matter to an extent. So
Okay. So what were your highlights of the day?
Ooh.
Does that mean there weren't any, or
Oh no, there were highlights. Where do you want to start?
Yes.
I don't know. I
Uh,
wasn't there.
Okay, so we'll
Yeah.
start on day 2, Derek. I think that was what, the second or third stage.
Mhm.
So we get ready. Like RO says, go. And we see like there's some elk off in the distance. They're kind of, you can see them in the field. They're nowhere near our line of fire.
Mhm.
So we start the stage. We're getting ready. We're getting glassed up, and these elk just kind of start creeping closer and closer and closer in front of our target. And I'm
Mhm.
standing there, and I keep looking back at the RO, like, do we stop? Do we keep going? What? How close is too close? And
Mhm.
then we're kind of hemmed and hawed about it. And then eventually they're right in. They basically stood in front of the targets, like, okay, guys, we have to stop.
I was about to say
So
at that point we're still in the ranging process and getting the rifle set up. We weren't
actually
fully on
shooting.
target yet, but we were just about at that point where shots could have been flying towards steel. So
Or not
So
steal.
then not steal, yeah.
mhm.
So it okay, stop. So we turned around and just kind of waited there. And
Yeah, they
probably
told us to turn around.
They told us to turn
Okay.
around, stop,
Mm.
everything's clear. Had to
Mhm.
wait for 3 minutes in the middle of the stage for the elk would actually get out of the way so we could finish our stage.
Mhm.
Well, 3 minutes isn't too bad. I would have thought like they could have sat there for bloody ever.
Yeah, but when you're on the clock and you're kind of like the adrenaline's pumped, and you're like, I want to go, I want to go.
Mhm.
I just had the range, like just playing with my Garmin, getting my dope, and turn around, stop. So I'm going to stare into this wall of trees just so everyone doesn't think we're going to drop an elk, which would be bad.
Mhm. Did it just stop you guys, or did it were they on like?
It was mainly
multiple-
our stage that they stopped.
Huh.
But
They
that was
eventually did spook because there's the stages were spread out, but only so far.
Mhm.
So there was live fire in the background and other things going on, but those elk, I think they might have been a little bit desensitized to hearing loud noises. So
I was gonna say, if they're hearing, rounds splash steel downrange close to where they are, you'd think that would spook them. But
eventually they got out of the way and we finished the stage and
yeah,
yeah,
we
they
made some.
told it. They told us to restart. So yeah, we we turned back around when the time started again and proceeded to engage the targets and made a few misses. Yeah, Vanya was there. He understood that those elk they did not care. So yeah.
that's interesting. Yeah. What else happened at the match?
The bear on day 1.
Yeah, the bear was probably one of the most elusive stages. I tried to look it up on practice score, but I don't know what's going on with the scores right now.
On the bear.
So the bear there is one stage. I think it was it stage 3 was the bear. So there's stage 2. Yeah,
One was
stage
the
2 is the
ducks.
bear. So for NRL Hunter, your options are 1 target, 2 targets, or 4 targets. And the number of targets determine the number of shooting positions. And it's generally the opposite. So for example, the bear in this case was a single target and there was 4 different marked shooting positions.
Okay.
So that's great when you can find the target, because then you can just focus on, once you have the target acquired and ranged, you can just focus on your positions, building them, and your strategy that way. However, there was a large amount of people, us included, that did not see the bear. Now, I'll put some context in it. Why couldn't we see the bear? Well, these targets are either bare steel or painted a dull gray. So they are not colored. They're not popping out like a bright red or a bright orange. They are generally just bare steel. Not pun not intended.
Yeah.
Yes.
The bear
And
was bare. I get it.
also too, because there was used a lot of trees in the course of fire. There was a lot of shade at times depending where the sun was. and those shadows can very easily hide targets.
Like
So
bears.
depending on the time of the day, generally determined if you saw the bear or not.
Okay.
So
Now, how big is this bear target?
Apparently, it was a life-size bear, according to Tyler.
yes.
A life-size black bear?
Black bear.
Okay. So it's a couple feet by a couple feet. Yeah. Well,
Yes.
a couple feet longer than it is tall, I guess. But and what distance was it at?
I wish I
Yep.
could. Maybe Shane might be able to tell you, or Carrie, because we did not find it to get a range on it. We timed out, and then the RO showed us it in the spotting scope. And even with a high power spotting scope, that bear
I could barely
was
see it.
barely visible.
Really?
Yeah.
Shane
So-
says it was 690 meters.
Yes.
That,
It was also
that's
quite-
that's a distance. Yeah.
Yes. It was also quite confusing because that stage, basically you're shooting into a bunch of trees, but there was one opening, one or two. And obviously
Okay.
that one opening was dark, and that's where the bear was. So we kind of felt like a little bit of a dunce group just staring at trees with binoculars. We're like,
And there it
oh,
was in
yeah,
the opening.
that's another tree right there. Yeah. Okay.
And you had 6 minutes of staring at trees.
We had 6 minutes of staring at it.
6 minutes and 4 eyeballs. Couldn't find it.
That would be
Yes.
so frustrating.
Yes.
Oh, it
and
was.
even towards the end, the RO started feeling bad for us, like with a couple of minutes left, and he kind of gave us an arm point direction.
Yeah.
Still didn't have a clue. Yeah.
Jeff Barron says he spent about 3 minutes 53 seconds bird watching.
Yes.
Is he talking
Unfortunately,
about
there was
birds
no
or women?
flying targets. So
Yeah,
I-
I can imagine there weren't.
I was just waiting for. Is this thing like half? Did they like bolt it to the side of a tree or something, and we're just being dumb and can't see it? Or is it going to come across on a zip line?
But was it? But it actually was in the clearing, though.
it
Yeah.
wasn't a clearing, but it was heavily shaded by the shadow of the trees due to the angle of the sun.
So were there targets that were in trees on other stages?
There was a couple
Yes.
that were hanging
Oh,
from trees.
Okay, so it's not
Yes.
like one of those things where like, oh well, just look for the clearing. They'll obviously have it somewhere in the clearing.
I mean, that is part of the strategy. But again, Travis with NRL Hunter pointed out that the most different thing about this match and challenging thing about this match is the shadow from use of trees. Because predominantly NRL Hunters are set in open prairie desert areas. We're just using kind of rolling hills as your natural cover and natural
Gotcha.
openings. Whereas the mix of trees and clearings, the natural clearings, was one of the most different things that Travis said about this match.
Yeah, that is very different from
Mm-hmm.
hunting. You know, because I mean, when you're hunting, at least the animal will move occasionally,
Mm-hmm.
and you'll pick up movement, right? But these
To an
these are
extent.
just chunks of steel that are just sitting there doing nothing.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, that is a thing. But then again, you could have a deer grazing there for, minutes in the same spot, and if you don't pick it up, you don't pick it up. So
Right.
you can't shoot a target you don't see, and that was a fact that I think a lot of people experienced. Is I don't think there was many people that match that didn't find a target or had difficulty finding
You
at
said
least
there
one or
weren't
two
that
targets. Yeah, there weren't that many that found all the targets. Is what I meant to say.
Oh, okay.
Yes, I think everybody at some point struggled or did not find at all.
Okay. Interesting.
Kind of a theme that was happening that we heard from other people who've shot more of these and in passing. And even Travis himself said this is probably one of the hardest courses of fire they've had. So I thought it was basically what I expected rolling into this for the first time. Is that's the size of targets I expected. So if these were small, I'd like to see what average targets are.
Interesting. So,
And-
were there targets that were bigger than the bear?
I'd
No.
say the bear was probably the biggest target.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. On aggregate, I heard that the targets by NRL Hunter standards were smaller than typical. So
They were okay.
yes.
But still, something bear sized at 700 meters. Well, I suppose the hard part is the difficulty in that is all of the other aspects. You don't know what the distance is. You have to find it first.
Hmm.
I imagine once you get all of that done up, as long as you got your ranging right, and then obviously dialed correctly, like what's the actual shooting like? Would you consider it harder than like a PRS match? Because it seems like a target the size of a bear is going to be bigger than the average size of a target at a PRS match, right?
Yeah, I would say so. However, the bear was kind of a weird exception.
Oh,
I'd say
okay.
the majority of targets were, I'd say, on par, if not maybe a little bit smaller than such center fire PRS targets. So
Oh, okay.
yeah, so I'd say it's a little bit tougher. I don't have the best judgment on that, but I would say this match particularly, again, I'm not sure about other NRL hunters, but I'd say they're on the smaller side.
Okay.
I'll see if I can't bring it up here, the photo. So if you look on the screen that I just put up, the photo on the screen, if you look, there are two targets in this photo. If you look below the 7 mil mark on the reticle towards the left, you see the placard for the stage
13?
indication. Yeah, the 13.
Okay.
So you know that within 20 or so feet, the first target is there.
Now we're talking like 20 feet left, right, forward, and behind.
Yes, it can be in a radius.
Okay.
So generally, if you find the placard, start looking in the area, and then you'll find the first target of that engagement.
Right. And what's the
Yes.
shape of this particular one?
In this shape, it's a howling coyote. So like the
that's
head
it.
and above. Yes.
So that's it. Basically, just above and slightly to the left of the 13.
No.
It's a bit of a blur on the.
Yeah.
Just 'cause of the
So
resolution.
the parallax might not have been perfect, but the actual, if you look to the left side of the reticle at the 1.5 mark,
Yeah.
on windage,
Yeah.
that is the first coyote target. You can kind of see the T-post at just below 1.5.
Yeah.
And then that's the target there. Because again, they're painted a gray or gray steel.
Oh, interesting.
Or they
I thought
just
that was
ended
just
up
like a post sign.
Yes. So in this case, the giveaway was the T-post. That's kind of a strategy. Look for T-posts, look for hanger straps, because again, for the most part, they don't occur in nature.
Right.
Yes.
What distance was this one?
I'd say
500-ish, I think.
Yeah,
Okay.
I would
Off the top
say
of
in
my head.
about that range.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. Well, that's not that big of a target then.
yeah. So
Okay.
yeah, you can see that it's on the smaller side. So now there's the second target in this photo. So we were shooting as a team. I picked up the second target. We're really struggling to find the second target. So time management wise, that's something you got to figure out is,
And it could
okay,
be anywhere in that cone of vision.
yes, it can be anywhere in that cone of vision. So sometimes if you're struggling with a target, the best strategy is just to skip and engage the targets that you have found.
Right.
So you can tell the RO who's at the stage, we're only going to engage target one and go from there. So you can shoot and at least get some points.
So then you don't get penalized for like shooting out of order or whatever.
Yes, you don't get penalized for shooting out of order. However, if you, for some reason, find the target after you've said that, you cannot engage the last missing target.
Okay.
You've kind of
So-
sealed your fate in that regard.
Right.
So in this case, both targets are visible. And actually, I'll point it out here. If you look to the right side of the windage reticle, at about 8.5, you see a little bit. Yep, Jens has got it there. 8.5 right on the second target. You can see that just that little bit of T-post and that gray blur is the target. So a lot of these colors can naturally camouflage in. And again, the time of day, type of lighting, it can be quite tricky. So
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, that T-post, oh, at least on the photo, the T-post just looks like you had some schputz on your lens.
mhm.
Well, this is looking through the trigger cam too, and
Right, yeah.
it's an awesome product, but it does darken your it does change your field of view, and you
Oh,
have to
does it?
focus it on your reticle. So once you pick your power, you are stuck with that power. And I think I was running 16 for most of the day. This is my scope.
Oh.
Yeah.
So
Man,
Great.
why do you guys run the trigger cams during competition then? That seems like you're giving yourselves a handicap.
We got lots of other handicaps.
That's what I'm saying. You don't need one more.
I will say though, this is extremely useful for going back and seeing where you missed and why you missed.
Mhm.
Yes. That is a
Yeah,
thing,
that's
being able
fair.
to
Okay.
have
Like,
that
'cause
resource.
the trigger cam doesn't lie. You can see, oh, I missed by this far when the dust kicks up.
Right.
Mhm.
Okay.
So yeah, it's like watching game footage of sports, but except on the shooting world. So there definitely is that benefit. What worked, what didn't work, and it's a lot of good feedback in that regard. So
And how else are you going to show it off on the show?
exactly that too, for the social aspect of it too. So that I'll close up that here photo now. I think we've had a. Oh, hold on. What did I do?
Oh, he's pushing buttons now.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I think all you've done is frozen the photo on the screen.
Yeah, no, I didn't do the right thing. Overlay, none. How do I do this?
How did you put it on?
I went to overlay and photos. Oh, hide. There we
Oh, yeah,
go.
There you go.
We're back. So
Yeah, trigger cam, wonderful piece of kit. Doesn't always
Mm.
give you the clearest image. Also, if you're gonna film yourself, it's really hard to film yourself at one of these.
Well, you could put a trigger cam 6 on and just have it pointing back at yourself.
Or you do what EM did and just bring your own photographer with you.
very
that seems
talented,
smart.
by the way. Yeah.
Very pro gamer move on that one,
Your
Mhm.
son?
Carrie.
Oh, Carrie. Okay.
Yes.
Carrie wasn't shooting?
No.
Oh, why not?
Wanted
She
to see
wanted
what
to
it
see
was about, I
all
guess.
about. So yeah.
Okay.
Because we tried to take some pictures, but I guarantee she got way better pictures than we did.
Mm.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. I'm not gonna repeat what EM said at all. Okay.
For the audio listeners, you have
We'll put it
to
up
you
on
have
the
to
screen.
go and see on the video.
He's just saying that he's saying he had to sleep with his wife in order to get his wife to be a cameraman.
Mhm.
Anyway, Yen says Shane and Mikey shot. Yeah, obviously they
Yep.
was the teammates. Gotcha.
Mhm.
And great teammates, because we were all in squads originally, and then you just kind of you go at your own pace.
Mhm.
So sometimes some stages took a little bit while. There was a bottleneck, so we ended up bumping into them quite a few times on the second day. Hung up with Colton Backman quite a bit too.
Okay.
He made the trip out. A lot of the Saskatchewan guys made a trip out, which was nice to see.
Interesting. Yeah. How
Yeah, it's
many
definitely-
people were in the competition?
I think there was like almost 80, I want to say. 70, 80, somewhere in there.
Yeah, it's up. Say probably that number. So.
That doesn't sound so bad.
Mhm.
So when's the next NRL match then?
It's July 7th, I do believe, and it is the Willow Creek washout. Well, I'd say the next closest one. There's one in Montana this weekend.
Okay.
However, there's the next one is actually next Canadian match is actually in Alberta. Sorry, June. May,
Yep.
June. Yeah, next month.
June
14th?
7th to 9th in the Chain Lakes area.
Okay.
Yes.
Hmm.
Yeah, definitely. I'd say I'd say it was a little bit almost more fun than PRS in some ways. There's more room for disappointment in that, not finding targets is just a fact that could happen, or getting a hard range. But for the most part, it was for us 6 minutes of adrenaline. So I definitely recommend it. So
Got really good at describing trees by the end of the weekend.
Is that really like a major part of it? Is are you able to describe it in a way that your shooter sees it, and therefore
Yeah.
you can then go shoot it?
Yeah.
I would be terrible at that.
I had a unique ability where I could almost walk up to the stage like, hey, there's 4 targets. And then Derek, I don't see him. Like, okay, do you see the tree where next to the tree where it's like sideways, but there's the pine tree, but there's the gap in between the 3 spruce trees. Like, you had to do that until we found all the targets.
I think if I were to do that, I think it would turn into a game of charades with Sheldon from Big Bang Theory.
yeah, it was definitely a skill, is that communication and cooperation.
Yeah.
Mike is definitely a lot better than that at naturally finding targets than me.
Okay.
Especially at the beginning. So that was definitely a thing in time management wise. So a little bit of post thought on it is I was just thinking, they're looking at the reticle earlier, and for example, you got the Apex Summit Pros with the reticle and the bino. If you're both running a reticle bino, you could actually use mills to separate targets. So you could say, do you see the first target? The second target is 3.5 mils to the right. I think that would be a bit of a game changer, another kind of strategy. If you can't get a clear description on where it is, or do you think that will be a faster system? I think that would be kind of that another strategy. So.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm saying in some teams, only one can clearly communicate, and the other one physically points his teammate in the right direction.
Like
that
Yes.
may
grabs him
have
by the
happened a couple
shoulders
of times.
and just like spins him to the right angle and then points over his shoulder and says, "It's there, dummy."
You
Yeah.
can't just point. You got to like knife hand it. Like, you got to be precise.
Yeah, it's got to be a whole. Yeah.
Yeah, we had a bit of a strategy. So if I couldn't see and Mike would point, I would look over his shoulder to get about the same line of sight, and then look down his arm and get a better general direction if it couldn't be communicated quickly. So so it's a definite strategy in that regard. So
Also, if you're not used to using a tripod, get used to using a tripod to shoot off of.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
yes.
Well, I guess we haven't talked about that at all. What kind of shooting positions are you shooting in?
There
So
were a
I'd say-
couple of prone positions.
Okay.
Quite a few are there's a log, you're shooting off the log. There was one fun one where I shot it left-handed because that just happened to be the most comfortable way to shoot it.
Okay.
Prone,
Left.
off of
You
tripod.
switched hands?
Oh yeah. Because I got in there and I'm ready. Like, this is kind of comfortable. Grab my backpack, bring it over as a rear rest. And then just kind of shuffled my way down because it was on an angle.
Okay.
Mike is an ambidextrous shooter.
Oh, so
Yes.
I see. I thought you were saying like everybody was switching hands.
No.
No,
Oh, okay.
just me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mike's
Just me,
a little
baby.
bit weird
Just
like
me.
that, but yeah.
Okay. Fair.
So-
All right.
So one thing to kind of caveat about NRL Hunter is sometimes there's defined positions where like the weight of the rifle must be on this. But for the most part, how it works with the rules is there's a marked position and you have to be within arm's reach of that position. So for example, you can have a downed log, not that down logged in that case, but one of the Rams head stages, you could be over top of the marked area. So you can go over top with a tripod, no problem.
Okay.
So you could do a high kneeling, a standing position, etc. Some positions demanded of it. There was a few playing positions on the ground, but your line of sight was obscured by the natural terrain. So you had to elevate yourself up above prone. So, and most of the props were either of the natural variety or of hunting variety. The Beckleys have a number of tree stands on that property for that reason, and a number of them were utilized as the natural kind of prop where you're shooting out of, which makes sense. So,
And somehow we crammed 2 of us in that one blind.
Oh, so
Yes.
you have to shoot out of a blind sometimes too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and your
there's-
time started when you got into the blind. So
Yeah, and
you'd hand your rifle up, and then once you cross the line, your time starts now, which is fine if you're a single shooter. But if there's 2 of you, you have to fit both of you in that very enclosed space.
Yeah, there is 3 stages that actually utilize the hunting blinds on the property, each of a different design. Probably the most notable one was the one where Ryan Stacey was RO, and that was the tower blind. So that one, there was a ladder up, and your time started once you had entered. And that blind was actually separated into 2 compartments. And the one compartment was probably not much more than 2.5 feet wide and about 5 feet in length. If you were laying down prone, such as the second shot position, your feet were dangling out of the blind, the back of the blind.
Christ,
So-
if I was trying to lay prone in that thing, by the time I get the rifle in there, I'd be like belly button down would be out of the blind.
Yes, you'd probably be utilizing the stairs as a kind of a rear leg support. So that was also interesting.
That sounds dangerous for me.
I would say one big point of improvement that we kind of got better at the second day. Generally, we formatted it so that Mike shot first and I shot second.
Okay.
Sometimes we did switch that up.
And you have the freedom to do that whenever you want.
Basically, as the stage starts, you can't switch once the shooting has begun, but they'll just write down shooter 1, shooter 2 on the list, and give the points for each shooter.
Gotcha.
So one thing definitely improved on the second day is spotting for the first shooter.
Okay.
Because unlike PRS, you are shooting as a team, so therefore you can verbally help the shooter that's shooting. So
Okay.
if I'm spotting dirt low when Mike shot, I can give him the correction. Hey, Mike, maybe go up a little bit, hit dirt below, or no call. Maybe it went above. Try less elevation. We probably had a bad range call. Correct that.
Right. And you can't do
it's-
that in PRS.
You can't do that in PRS. Sometimes towards the end of a stage when somebody's not doing good, somebody might shout out a little bit of help, but that is generally frowned upon. So that's another thing definitely to work on as a teammate is spotting and correcting hits, misses for sure.
Yeah.
And even where they hit on the target beforehand. So that's definitely a point of improvement that we worked on the second day, and I think it would have been a bit of a game changer if I was more apt at it come the first day. So
Okay.
We were still kind of trying to figure out, okay, how do you really shoot one of these matches? And the best way to do it is to go do it.
Yeah.
So now we have kind of a better system on how to run a stage, but
yeah, still
always
not.
improve.
Yeah, still not.
What-
Still not perfect.
Where did you guys end up in placements?
Last place team.
Oh, good for you.
Yeah.
But
So-
not no, hold on. We weren't last. Somebody didn't show up. We were 9th.
Okay.
Mhm.
That's fair. So where are you expecting to place next time?
We'll see. Next match, we're talking about shooting solo as an individual. Not
But I thought
because
it
we
went
didn't.
so well.
not because. I mean, we would probably definitely be better next time. I can believe it for sure. Or just to kind of experience, because shooting as an individual is a little bit different experience.
Okay.
So it's only yourself, 4 minutes. So it's a little bit more on you. you are allowed to ask the RO yes or no questions. We didn't really utilize that feature with the two of us, just generally we're able to work it out.
Okay.
However, a lot of individuals learned how to ask questions to the RO to help them out. So certain questions are not allowed, and if the RO doesn't like the question, they don't have to provide an answer.
Okay.
But the rules are set that you can ask the RO a yes or no question.
So what sort of questions are not allowed? Are they other than anything that isn't a yes or no?
So
Like, are there any prohibited yes or no questions?
no, it's biggest thing is on vagueness of a question.
Okay.
Like, is it by the tree? That's not a good question, therefore it's not allowed.
Yeah,
or
because
or a
yes would
series.
still be a very ambiguous answer.
Yes, exactly. It's like yes, there's trees out there, and how close do you define close is?
Right.
And they also bring it up questions that will, if you ask a series of questions designed to eventually narrow it down, that is kind of frowned upon too.
Okay.
But a good example of a question to ask is if you're struggling, you can ask, is the second target to the right of the first target? So that's a good.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So that's a good question to ask. That's a yes or no answer. So then if they say yes, it's like, okay, I want to focus my field of view to the right of the first target because I've found the first target.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, you might be able to split what you're spotting for
Right.
and then proceed from there. So that's example of a good question. So,
And they were coaching people on this before the match started?
yeah,
Like
it was
how to...
it was in the brief on how to utilize the RO for asking questions. Other than that, the RO is not going to help you. All they're going to tell you is impact, next target, or if you miss your first shot, re-engage, or next position. That's about all the feedback you're going to get. Now, if you're shooting in the skills division, the ROs can coach you. So the skills division, you're not eligible for any standings or any prize table. So in that case, it's great for new shooters. If you want to go out there just for the experience and you're
It's
struggling,
like tutorial mode.
exactly. It is tutorial mode is that regard. So
Were there people doing that?
yes,
Okay.
You also
there-
had the option in between the match. If you wanted to see, you know what, I'm going to skills for the rest of the match, you could switch in the middle.
But
Down
you
to
probably,
skills division.
I mean, like if you shot half of it in tutorial mode and then you shoot the rest of it in skills, what's going to happen here?
Well, you were either in open light, open heavy, or factory, but you had the option to switch to skills. You said, this is too much. I need the dialer back a bit. I need help.
Sorry, skills
You
is
could
tutorial
switch.
mode.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah. I was
Okay.
about to say that skills is considered, tutorial mode. You're working on your skills. So
Gotcha. Okay. And Rob's saying he shot skills
Because Rob has skills.
because Rob had, well, he does now.
he's all learned up.
I don't think there was anybody who didn't take something away from that match. Like someone learned something. Everyone learned something.
And I think there was about probably at least 10 skill shooters, and probably the majority of them dropped down probably rather early into skills division. So
That's interesting. That's an interesting thing to put into the competition.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing with skills is a lot of the rifle classifications for divisions didn't really apply to you.
Rob was just saying that because his rifle wouldn't make weight. That's why he shot skills.
Yes.
So if you want to bring your PRS rifle to an NRL match, you can just shoot skills.
Yes.
Although you don't really get any bragging rights, even if you shoot better than everyone else. So I don't know why you would do that, but
Yes. Yeah. Other
unless
than
you don't have a specific NRL rifle.
Yes.
And that gets into its own specifics pretty. There's a very intricate path you got to take to get into some of those divisions.
Okay.
So I shot my basically stock Brigera. I threw an MDT XRS just because I had an Arca rail already mounted to it. But I want to go down to factory division because I just think shooting factory rifles is fun. But to find a factory rifle where you have the right optic, you have the right bipod, and still make under 12 pounds, that's kind of an interesting balance you got to play with.
You have got to get like a Bergara MG Light or something.
That or HMR. I've been looking through Bergara, like every single thing. Like, hey, if I get that, and then I bought a scale on Amazon the day after the match, just so I can weigh all the individual components. It's like I'm not going all this way just to figure out, oh, you're shooting in open heavy because
Are there
you're a pound
optics
over.
rules for factory other than overall weight?
It's all overall weight.
It's all
Oh
just
no,
overall weight.
sorry. Factory is a basically unmodified rifle out of the box. So
Yeah.
Yes.
So
you
I mean,
can't.
are there optics rules for that?
No optics rules.
Okay.
Yeah,
Just make weight.
Yeah.
yeah. Make weight a factory SKU. On the NRL website, there's a list of the manufacturers and models.
Oh, so
Basically, if there's
there's an approved
yeah,
list.
yeah.
Okay.
I think there has to be so much production of that rifle for it to be considered factory.
So like
So-
an MG Light might not even be on that list.
It
Nope,
probably actually would be.
Yeah.
It goes by manufacturer.
It's pretty comprehensive
Mhm.
then. Oh,
Yeah.
it goes by manufacturer, not by model.
Like they have approved manufacturers.
Okay.
Yes.
So Barrett, Bergara, Beretta, Browning, Christensen, Colt, CVA, CZ, Daniel Defense, Fierce, FN, Henry, Howa, Kimber, Marlin, Mauser, Mossberg, Nosler, Remington,
Did you say
Ruger, Seiko. Henry is in there.
So you're gonna
'Cause
get
they have the
people
Long
out there
Ranger.
with right. Yeah. Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Also,
Man,
Savage.
that would be fun to
Seekins,
shoot
Sig.
that with a lever gun, wouldn't it?
It would be. If you can get magazines big enough, you would be onto something.
Yeah.
Yeah, Long Ranger would be doable.
Is that what the Long Ranger? Is that what Henry called? How? Because they had that new high power lever action that they were showing off at SHOT Show. Was that the Long
And-
Ranger?
Yeah, it's magazine fed, doesn't have sights on it, so you just put
Yeah.
an optic on it. Yeah,
Yeah.
Long Ranger.
Yeah, okay. Okay. All right. I would love to have one of those. Have you guys played with it?
They've not seen one.
I'll tell you what, the guy was jaw jacking in our ear when we were at SHOT Show. He was jaw jacking in our ear about something like 9 patents in the action that they filed to get the action to run, and he was all the technical stuff. And I was like, I wasn't really paying attention to any of it, but I will tell you this: the action was smooth as shit. I don't know why I chose shit. It's not always smooth, but I mean, we're talking like samurai sword through butter to run the action on that thing. It was insane. And they had an older version of some older high power. I forget the model number that they used to make in the past that they were going to discontinue, and we were running the action on that. And it was not even close to the action on the Long Ranger. Like it was just remarkably smooth. And then we going over to like the Chiappa booth and the Marlin booth and all these, and like their standard lever guns weren't as smooth as the Long Ranger's action was.
Mhm.
I would absolutely buy one of those if, we were ever likely to see one in Canada within the next 27 years.
Yes. If the manufacturing quantity ever made it up to snuff to get some across the border.
But I think
So-
that's a pretty big if.
I think we're just such a low priority. 'Cause I was looking on the Bergara website, like, oh, some of these B squared carbons, it's like buy once, cry once, NRL, I'm good, don't have to buy anything. We're not going to see them for another 2 years, probably.
Probably at least, yeah.
Mhm.
Well, and that's, and it kind of sucks too, because it's like, oh, just buy one from the U.S., have it shipped up. Yeah, ITAR, that'll fuck you over pretty good. So you don't really have any good options I mean, you can go through iRun Guns and spend, an extra $300, $400 for your rifle? I guess
Or
depends on
find
how
one
much-
here.
Well, that's the thing, or find one here. But how many Bergaras are you finding here, and how many Henrys are you finding here? And
If
I
it's in stock,
remember-
I will find it.
well, I believe
Mike is a good searcher.
I believe you. I remember a couple of years ago, before the Ordering Council, I think it was like 2019. I was like jonesing for a Keltec RDB. And I remember bitching on the show for like a year, and it was like a year and a half before they imported them into Canada again. But Anyway, what else you guys want? You guys had some video from the NRL.
Yeah, we could bring that up here. Did kind of a montage of when we actually filmed and when we actually hit targets. So
Do it.
give me a second. He'll give it a try. We'll see how this goes.
You got audio.
It's a
Yeah, that looks like he. He was low on the T-post. Impact.
I keep looking at the center dot, but obviously you were holding on for wind on a number of those.
Yeah, so there was definitely if you look in that clip, there was definitely some corrections made for wind, but also for elevation. So in the center of that clip, there was the coyote, which was shot at a few times in that clip, and you notice Mike was actually holding under. In that case, we got a bad range, and we made a correction.
Gotcha.
So,
what were you? Did I ask what you guys were using for ranging?
you asked what most people are using for ranging, not us specifically.
What are you using?
So I just have some Vortex rangefinder for $300. I forget what it is.
Oh yeah, like those little monocle ones.
Yeah, little monocle type ones. I it's been a while, so I don't have a whole lot of money into fancy rangefinder.
Gotcha.
I'm going to make some people mad with my rangefinder choice.
Which is?
So I was running a Bushnell Prime 1800, and the reason I was running it is because you can pair it to a Garmin 701 GPS that has applied ballistics in it.
Okay.
So what can happen is Derek can be looking through my rangefinder, I can be on my rifle, and then he can hit the target, and then I look on my wrist, and then my dope pops up on my wrist. If everything's working properly.
Oh, this is a Garmin watch.
It's like basically a military Garmin watch. They're neat. Big fan.
Technologically cheating son of a bitch.
Hold time out. If it works, it works great.
Yeah.
But it's like you have to kind of prime it to like get to wake up and then talk to it, because it'll automatically connect, but it takes like 30 seconds to connect sometimes.
Oh, boo earns.
So that's what I was running. And then as a backup, I had my Leica sitting in my backpack.
Okay.
So for those a fan of nice fancy optics, my Leica was in my bag.
Yeah. But you didn't use it, did you?
No. And the Leica will pair to the Kestrel, but it won't pair to the Garmin. So that's why I ran the Bushnell.
That's so weird. Well, I guess it's not really that weird. All the proprietary technology bullshit.
Well, it's Bluetooth. It should all talk to each other. It just that one will not talk.
Well, it would if they programmed it to.
So my recommendation is either get really good with your Kestrel or run hard dope.
Yes. So that's another thing, is the speed at which to acquire your dope. I did a paper dope card in 10-yard increments from 200 to 750. Okay. There was one target at the 800-ish yard distance, but that was it. So that's kind of what I ran for the day. I saw a number of other people doing that. I know Rob converted to that halfway through the match instead of using his phone, because he was realizing that it was taking some time. So, or in Mike's case, where he'd range find it and it'd go to his watch, and then he'd get his dope that way. So,
okay, so let's run down like the equipment, kind of the equipment really that you need for this. You need you need rear bag, I'm assuming.
Yep.
You're gonna need
game changer, something like that.
Yeah, you're gonna need like Arca rail and tripod.
Yep. Tripod's pretty much mandatory.
Do you just use your tripod if you're going prone?
There was a lot of people still running bipods. There was some stages where a bipod prone was the way to do it.
So maybe not essential, but not a bad idea.
I would put it on the essential list.
Okay. So tripod and bipod.
Mm-hmm.
Then rangefinder of some sort.
Yes.
Probably a Kestrel.
You could get away with some sort of wind reading. A device, say. Luckily, that match we shot in the morning where the wind was quite low, but other matches definitely need some wind reading. Kestrel would be ideal, but if you have a good enough hard dope cards, I think you could probably get away without it. But
Okay. Well, and then that's the other thing is a dope card.
mm-hmm. Yeah.
Are we missing anything?
Or a
other than
dope
Ear
dope
Pro,
system.
A
You
dope
need
system.
you need a good backpack and setup. Because
Okay.
you are walking between these stages, some rather far.
Okay.
Some of these stages, even there was a side by side that would come pick you up and take you to the next stage. So you got to be able to carry at least 100 rounds of ammo, water, all your other gear, anything else you might need for the day. They had water stations, but you needed your own water bottle.
Yeah. Okay.
So any other provisions you need for your days got to be in your bag. Snacks and electrolytes, I would put on that list.
For sure.
And good pair of binos for sure.
I was going to say we forgot binos. Yeah.
Yes, I would say probably at least 12x.
Yeah.
I know Jeff and Scobie they were running the new Apex 15x56s for that match. So
yeah.
So I'd say probably.
I'd add good ear pro to that list too, like electronic ear pro.
Yes.
Yeah, I would consider that essential anytime.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Especially in the last couple of years, there's really not much of an excuse to not have electronic ear pro, is there? Like it's not like they're even super expensive. I mean, all the expensive shit that people buy for guns, and we can't buy $199 pair of axles or something or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I was running $60 airsock off Peltors, which were great.
So you're using over the ear?
I was using over the ear.
Yeah. What about you, Dark? You use over the ear?
I was using over the ear. Yeah. I did see a lot of in the ear, however, though. So.
But Derek did not have batteries in his ear, so I had to yell sometimes.
Yeah, unfortunately, I kind of messed up. I don't shoot a lot of center fire, so it's still a little bit of learning there for me. So I had to earplug in the right ear just to kind of protect that in case my muffs weren't on perfect. And
Gotcha.
So next, I think I'm going to buy some high quality earbud pro is definitely on the list for the next batch. So
I recommend the Isotune Sport or the Axles.
Mm-hmm.
Because there were times that we needed to communicate and Derek just couldn't hear me, like when he was standing on my rifle.
I stepped on Mike's gun once.
That's all
but you know what they say, you could build 1,000 bridges, you fuck one sheep, and you know how people are going to remember you.
Because I'm standing there spotting, like our rifles are in where they're supposed to be, and I'm behind spotting, and then Derek's kind of like pushing over, and then he steps on my gun, and I'm like, Derek, and I didn't scream it out loud. I'm like, Derek, you're standing on my rifle. He's like, what? And then I kicked him, like, you're standing on my rifle.
It was on the cheek riser, okay.
Nothing important, but
yeah. Okay. Well, no big deal then.
He scuffed my nice MDT chassis.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that he had on there specifically for that match too.
Yeah, I didn't want to disappoint Josh and Ryan from MDT. You know, they work hard on those products. I wanted to show it off.
And Derek just wanted to show how durable they were.
Yeah,
exactly.
Some quality product testing right there.
And I will say it was definitely a hard on gear match.
Okay.
Because you're lugging around.
Down and, okay.
Yeah, sometimes it turns into a yard sale at the end of the match. You're picking up, your binos on the ground, your rangefinder on the ground, all your empty brass, something that fell out of your bag. I brought my Nikon with me, and unfortunately, it dropped out of my pouch, and now I got a busted lens focus, and there was a few other casualties throughout the day in regards to gear.
Yikes.
Yeah.
That's not good.
Another thing I would say would be find a way to uniquely mark your brass.
There's
Because
enough other people shooting at around the same time as you, or
well, because you'd show up, you'd shoot, you'd quickly grab all the brass that you could find, and then you'd go on to your next stage.
Yeah.
And usually you'd pick up somebody's brass or they'd pick up yours, and then people would either leave it at the stage or they'd carry it with them. And then at the end of the match, there's just kind of a community bucket, and everyone just threw all the brass in there, and then people are going through like, oh, here's my Lapua, here's my Alpha, here's so
Thing is,
mark your brass.
thing is, because again, a lot of your props are natural props. So there was a lot of fallen logs that were semi-decomposing with nooks and crannies and grass and other things. So it was very easy to lose a piece of brass into one of those, and you may not be the person to find it.
Yeah.
And I know one stage there was a gopher hole right next to your shooting position. So I do believe there's probably a few pieces of brass still in that gopher hole. So
the Gophers worship it as some sort of idol.
It's a metallic god. So
Cool. Was there anything else you guys want to say about it before we shut all this down?
We should probably talk about the prize table too. That was fantastic.
Okay.
There's some excellent sponsors for NRLs. We had some excellent sponsors at the match. We had Carleen Banyan there. We had a bunch of other people there. Really good support. It was nice to see. So
I'd say
you just can't say thanks sponsors enough. Like email them after a match. It's the easy thing to do. Makes everyone's life easier.
And I'd put it out there, if you're interested in attending, jump in with both feet. I think it's a great match for people new into sport shooting to get into, because it's a little bit more attainable. Most shooters are hunters first, or sometimes it's the opposite. So I'd encourage you to jump on in. You can bring a lot of your other weird calibers. I saw some 7 SOM, 7 Rem Mag. So you're not limited to a few select calibers like PRSs. You can bring your hunting rifle. There is no, I think the limit is no 338 Lapua, but you have to meet a minimum power factor. So in this case, minimum is about a 6.5 Creed is basically the smallest you can go. So you got a lot more flexibility in caliber and rifle setup. So I think bring your friends, go out, give it a try. So
Cool.
Yep.
Well, I guess with that, I'm going to do a quick plug before we shut it down, and that is going to be to talk about Storied Knives. Kurt and I have started this little venture. We made some knives. We got our first knife made. We are currently in design on our second SKU. Hopefully, we'll have it done by sometime next year. Takes a little time to get it right and get it done good, but we do have the Storied Knives Gardener knife on sale. You can get it. It is $100 online. You can also pick it up at the Shooting Edge if you're in Calgary. They sell it in store at the Shooting Edge, and I believe it is $5 cheaper at the Shooting Edge than you can get it for online. Plus, you don't pay shipping. So if you're in the Calgary area, go to the Shooting Edge. You can see it before you buy it. I know you'll like it, and you can get it for less than you can get it on the website. If you are anywhere else and you do want to order it on the website, go to storiedknives.com. You can order it there. And also, I believe, what is Alex? Alex with formerly Affordable Optics.
Epic Arms.
With Epic Arms. I forget his web address though.
Canadian Precision Optics or something like that.
Yeah,
I'm trying to.
I think it's CDN Precision. I think. Yeah, cdnprecision.com. If you're in Eastern Canada, especially, you can, I believe, you can get our knives on his website now. Yes, you can. So the gardener knife is available on the website, and you'll save yourself a little bit in shipping if you're in Eastern Canada, especially. You can order it there. So, storieedknives.com, cdnprecision.com, and in store at the Shooting Edge. And hopefully, within the next couple of months, we will have it in a few more stores, a few brick and mortar stores as well. So you guys can save shipping costs there. So, go get you a knife. I got somebody locally who, so we offer a 1 year sharpness offer. So I mean, like, it doesn't matter. Like, it just through regular dulling, regular use. If it's dulling, you're not confident with sharpening your knife, whatever, you send it to us. We'll put it back to like a factory edge. So somebody local brought it in just the other day, and I'm looking at this thing, and it is beat to hell. Like, there's grit stuck in it. The tip of the knife was chipped off. There's multiple
Jesus.
chips in the blade, and I'm like, this is not garbage steel. What have you been doing with this knife? And she looks at me and she goes, I've been using it pretty good. I'm like, yeah, you sure have. She goes, I'll admit, I'm abusing the hell out of it. And I'm like, well, that's good. I mean, at least we know. And she's telling me some of the things she's doing with it. Like, she's using it at the tip as a pry bar on, like, she's like stabbing it into trees to get, like, for sap, for sapping, stabbing it into trees and then using it as a pry bar in the tree. And I'm like, oh, that's why the tip broke off. And they're like, yep, well, there's nothing you can do about that. It doesn't matter what steel the knife is made of. And she's like cutting bits of wire with it. And I'm like, well, that explains the chips in the cutting surface of the blade. And she's like, yeah, no, I'm genuinely mistreating this knife. And I'm like, well, based on what she was telling me, I was really happy with how the knife was actually holding up, considering how much she was mistreating it. So, yeah, there we go. Storied Knives, storieedknives.com, Shooting Edge, cdnprecision.com. Get yourself a knife, and I think you'll be pleasantly surprised as well.
I gotta add one more thing to the knife. The retaining clip and the sheath is spot on.
They
Very
are tight,
solid.
eh?
Yeah, very solid, very tight, very hard to get on and off, but that's what you wanted. I had one on the bag during the NRL Hunter match, and I used it a few times to use some string for some stuff, and it stuck on there good. Because another thing that happened in that match is there's definitely a few things lost, a lot of chamber flags lost, but that knife held onto the bag perfect, so I did not lose the knife. So,
Well, that was one thing that we really thought about when we were designing the sheath. Is we wanted it so that people could mount it upside down on like a backpack strap or on a carrier or on something like that, so that you could just reach up, like, natural position and pull down to get the knife. And we wanted that for a number of reasons. Obviously, just because, like, it's super easy access, but we also wanted it for people who are carrying the knife for some sort of wilderness defense or something like that. It's a very easy, an intuitive kind of thing to just reach up towards your pec and grab the handle and pull down for easy deployment. And we didn't want the sheath to be coming off if you were utilizing it that way. So yeah, we definitely made it a tight fit for sure. That actually took when we were designing that, we sent sample knives back to our manufacturer a good 3-4 times before we were like, nope, now that's right. That's the way that we want it, And that included a material change. We went to a different grade of steel for that clip to be able to get that tense. What's the word I'm looking for? Tenseness, tension. That's the word. Thank you.
yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Dictionary. Yeah. So cool. If everybody is who is still watching us, make sure you give a like on the page. You can find the show at bspodcast.ca. You can find Derek and Mike. What is your guys' web address again?
Oh, we do have a website.
Yeah.
It's
I
under
remember it.
construction.
Yeah, yeah. Just find us on Instagram at Banyak Precision.
That's
best.
BANYAK.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the best way to find us, get a hold of us. So
On the Instas.
Yes.
You can also find BS Podcast on facebook.com/BS Podcast. You can send us an email if you'd like, info@bspodcast.ca. And as always, a massive thank you to all of our sponsors and all of our listeners. Without you guys, we wouldn't have a show in the first place. And we are talking about Shane and Steve, Miles, Carrie and Cappy, Duncan and Rob, Phil, Doug and Nisa, Vanya and Carly, Oscar and JR. Thank you all an immeasurable amount. And for some reason, Doug and Nisa, I missed Doug and Nisa. So Doug and Nisa as well. Thank you all an immeasurable amount. And I guess everybody, we will see everybody next week. Hopefully, we will see everybody next week with Millburn Defense. But cross your fingers, folks.
Yes.
We do want to have Millburn Defense on the show.
Yep.
We've been having some difficulty. They've been doing a lot of traveling, it appears, and they were in Germany at one point in different time zones, and it just hasn't been working out. And we're gonna hopefully make it work out for next week. So stay tuned for that. And I guess that's it. Last word, Derek and Mike.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned. Mike wanted to say something.
I'm going to say the next NRL Hunter match, Willow Creek Washout. It's on nrlhunter.org. Go sign up. You
Beautiful.
have to.
There you go. All right. We'll see everybody next week.
Because I have a shotgun and rifle that I use for, and 22 gauge that I use for ptarmigan, moose, and black bear.
You're so dumb. You are really dumb. For real.
You're listening to your weekly dose of BS, ballistically speaking. The Ballistically Speaking Podcast.